check, check. 1, 2, 3. Lighting is all set. Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whoever else might be watching this live, whether now or later down the road. Almighty, welcome. What's up? We're going to be picking up back where we left off. Richest man in Babylon. Last week we went over the setting, giving you a little bit of information about the plot, giving some information about the whole parable situation, how the story of one of the richest men in this specific story is going to be going back to his old friends and breaking down just a little bit about how he created his wealth and how he has accumulated it all. So without further ado, we will get into this. So, richest man in Babylon. In old Babylon, there once lived a certain very rich man named Arcade. Far and wide, he was famed for his great wealth. Also was he famed for his liberality. He was generous in his charities. He was generous with his family. He was liberal in his own expenses. But nevertheless, each year his wealth increased more rapidly than he spent it. And there were certain friends of younger days who came to him and said, "You, Arcade, are more fortunate than we. You have become the richest man in all Babylon while we struggle for existence. You can wear the finest garments and you can enjoy the rarest foods, while we must be content if we can clothe our families and raiment that is presentable and feed them as best as we can." So this man's got all the fancy clothes. He's got all the income to go out and eat the rarest foods, right? Just those fancy steaks that people spend thousands of dollars on, stuff like that. So he's a very wealthy man. You get the point. Yet once we were equal. We studied under the same master. We played in the same games, and neither the studies nor the games did you outshine us. And in the years since, you have been no more than an honorable citizen than we. Nor have you worked harder or more faithfully in so far as we can judge. Why then should a fickle fat single you out to enjoy all the good things of life and ignore us who are equally deserving? That goes back to that mentality. People are going to only be able to look at you from the outside and not really understand what happened to you. So this is a perfect time for him to explain his story and go into depth, right? So thereupon Arcade remonstrated with them, saying, "If you have not yet acquired more than a bare existence in the years since we were youths, it is because you either have failed to learn the laws that govern the building of wealth, or else you do not deserve them. Fickle fate is a vicious goddess who brings no permanent good to anyone. On the contrary, she brings ruin to almost every man upon whom she showers unearned gold. She makes wanton spenders who soon dissipate all they receive and are left beset by overwhelming appetites and desires that have not the ability to gratify. Yet others whom she favors become misers and hoard their wealth, fearing to spend what they have, knowing they do not possess the ability to replace it. They further are beset by fear of robbers and doom themselves to live of emptiness and secret misery. Others there probably are who can take unearned gold and add it and continue to be happy and contented citizens, but so few are they, I know of them. I think you of men who have inherited sudden wealth, and see if these things are not so." His friends admitted that of all the men they knew who had inherited wealth, these words were true, and they besought him and explained to them how they had become possessed by so much prosperity. So he continued. This is where y'all gotta pay attention. Really important right here. Tanner, what up? Shout out to my roommate right here. "In my youth, I looked about me and saw all the good things there were to bring happiness and contentment. And I realized that wealth increased the potency of all these things. So he's going to list off a few things right here. Pay attention. Wealth is power. With wealth, many things are possible. One may ornament the home with the richest of furnishings, right? So one can decorate his house with just about anything if you got the money to do so. Get the fancy couches, put that fireplace. You want to remodel the whole house, the whole layout. You can do that. One may sail to distant seas. You can catch flights. You can book the cruises. You can go see the world. One may feast on the delicious or delicacies of far lands. Again, you get a taste of all the wonderful foods of the planet. One may buy the ornaments of the gold worker and the stone polisher. If there's something specific you like, I got a couple friends that are into cars, right? So if you have money, you can buy all the funny little turbos that people put on their cars and, make the cars go faster, stuff like that. Things that, people are specialized in, and you can do that because you can afford to. One may even build mighty temples for the gods. One may do all these things and many others in which there is delight for the senses and gratification for the soul. And when I realized all this, I decided to myself that I would claim my share of the good things of life. So what he's saying here is he made a decision, right? He took the initiative to go out and say, hey, I want that. I'm going to go get it. And when I realized all this, I decided to myself that I would claim my share of the good things for life. I would not be one of those who stand afar off, enviously watching others enjoy. I would not be content to clothe myself in the cheapest raiment that looked respectable. I would not be satisfied with the lot of a poor man. On the contrary, I would make myself a guest at the banquet of the good things. So right here is what differentiates this arcade man from all of his peers, all of his friends, right? All his friends, all of his peers were trying to get by doing the bare minimum. They were not thinking past Friday. They were only thinking about what they needed today and tomorrow. But they weren't thinking long term. And that's the difference between the mindset of somebody who is only going to work towards the things that he needs for the day and creating that wealth, creating that fortune, creating that inheritance that he can pass on to his children's children, right? Being, as you know, the son of a humble merchant, one of the large families with no hope of inheritance, and not being endowed. An endowed is pretty much like an inheritance. It's just money being handed over to you. As you have so frankly said, with superior powers or wisdom, I decided that if I was to achieve what I desired, time and study would be required. So he understood that to get where he needed to go, he needed to put in the time, and he needed to put in the energy and the resources to obtain the knowledge, keep the knowledge, and not just receive it, be able to put it into action, right? Because it's one thing to know a lot of things, and it's another thing to put those things into action, right? So that's a step that he took here. As for time, all men have it in abundance. As for time, all men have it in abundance. Everybody's got the same amount of time, right? You get the same 24 hours I get, that everyone else gets, and it's what we do with it that makes the difference. So keep track of that. Time management, really, really important. Yet you admit you have nothing to show except your good families, of which you can be justly proud. As for study, did not our wise teacher teach us that learning was of two kinds? The one kind being the things we learned and knew, and the other being the training that taught us how to find out what we did not know. Therefore, did I decide to find out how one might accumulate wealth, and when I had found out, to make this my task and do it well. For is it not wise that we should enjoy while we dwell in the brightness of the sunshine? For sorrows enough shall descend upon us when we depart for the darkness of the world of spirit. I found employment as a scribe in the hall of records. So this is important. This is where he's going to start getting into his story. This is going to, he's going to share the connection between how he started his journey and where he is today. So I found employment as a scribe in the hall of records, and long hours each day I labored upon the clay tablets. Week after week, month after month, I labored. Yet for my earnings I had not to show, right? So he was working a regular job. He's living paycheck to paycheck. He's not really getting ahead, right? You know, a lot of us can relate to that. I labored, yet for my earnings I had nothing to show. Food and clothing and penitence to the gods and other things of which I could remember not what absorbed all my earnings, but my determination did not leave me. And one day, Ogamish, the moneylender, came to the house of the city master and ordered a copy of the ninth law, and he said to me, I must have this in 2 days, and if the task is done by that time, 2 coppers will I give to thee. So this is a classic example of being at the right place at the right time and doing the right thing, right? So our kid just doing his job, going through life, just happens to cross paths with a moneylender, right? Somebody that is trained in the art of finance, the art of money, and he gives him a task, right? He's testing him. He's saying, I need to get this done. If you do this, I'm going to leave you a tip. He's going to give him 2 copper coins. 2 copper coins back then would have probably been like 2 months salary for this man, right? He would have been able to feed his family for a very, very, long time without, being able to take some time off of work. But he's got a different mindset, right? He's not just trying to get by. He wants to get ahead. So he's taking on this extra task, and he's going to tell us how that task went through. So I labored hard, but the law was long, and when Algamish returned, the task was unfinished. He was angry, and had I been his slave, he would have beaten me. So he doesn't get on the right foot with this person, right? He doesn't finish the task, and this man is mad, right? So in the army, right, we got sergeants. We could piss off some of them, and if they're not directly in our chain of command, they won't really do much to us. But if we were under them, they will mess us up. This is kind of like the situation he's going through. But in his mind, the same adrenaline rush that we would get from that, that's what he'd be getting. But knowing the city master would not permit him to injure me, I was unafraid. So I said to him, Agamish, you are a very rich man. Tell me how I can also become rich, and all the night I will carve upon the clay, and when the sun rises, it shall be completed. So, man, this arcade man, he's got balls, man. He took the initiative to say, yeah, I didn't finish this, but give me some information. Tell me what you're doing. Like, this doesn't seem like an important task to me. So let's see the response that this Algamish gives him. So he smiled at me and he replied, you're a forward knave, but we will call it a bargain, right? So he's entertained at this thought, because not many people would come up to him and ask him things like this, or definitely have the internal fortitude to ask a question like that after messing up and not doing what he was supposed to do for him. But he's going to call it a bargain. All the night I carved through my back pain, and smell of the wick made my head ache until my eyes could hardly see. But when he returned at that sun, the tablets were complete. So he's taking on this challenge, and he's going to make this happen, right? He's going to do what he needed to do in the first place and really put all of his time, energy, and his resources into it just to make that perfect product for him. And now that he's worked all night on it, he's tired, right? He hasn't slept, and he's just really, really excited to get this information. So now I said, tell me what you promised. You have fulfilled your part of our bargain, my son. He said to me kindly, I am ready to fulfill mine. I will tell you these things you wish to know, because I am becoming an old man, and an old tongue loves the wag, right? So old people usually got the funniest stories. They got the coolest stories. They've been through life, so they can tell you a lot about, specific things, right? And this specific old man, again, he's been around finance his entire life, so he's got a lot of knowledge when it comes to money handling, and he wants to pass it on to somebody. So this seemed like a perfect opportunity for him to share his wisdom. And when youth comes to age for advice, he receives the wisdom of years. But too often does youth think the age knows only the wisdom of days that are gone, and therefore profits not. But remember this, the sun that shines today is the sun that shone when thy father was born, and will still be shining when thy last grandchild shall pass into the darkness. The thoughts of youth, he continued, are bright light and shine forth like the meteors that often make bright or brilliant the sky, but the wisdom of age is like the fixed stars that shine so unchanged that the sailor may depend upon them to steer his course. Oh, let's read that again because that's important, right? He's saying, you know, the sun was there yesterday, it's here today, and it's gonna be there tomorrow, right? This is something that's there constantly. He's also saying there's really no difference between the age of wisdom, right? So things that are gonna be there constant, right? And like when I look at this book, for example, right? This book was written 100 years ago, roughly, and it's a little hard to read because of the old English, but the parable, again, it's just as relevant as it was that day it was written to the day it is today, right? It's crazy because the information we're going to be going over right now is like this man knew, right? This man knew that these specific principles, if you follow them, you will obtain the wisdom that you're looking for, and you will get the results, right? So let's keep going here. Mark you well my words, for if you do not, you will fail to grasp the truth that I will tell you, and you will think that your night's work has been in vain. Then he looked at me, shooting from under his shaggy brows, and said in the low, forced tone, I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. Ooh, that's important. Let's read that again. He says, I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. If we look at our financial statements, we look at our bank account, how many of us are actually keeping a part of our check? Like, are you the kind of person that as soon as you get your check, it's already spent, right? You're already thinking, all right, I gotta pay my phone bill, I gotta pay rent, I gotta pay insurance, I gotta pay, whatever it is, taking care of your kids, you gotta pay for food, water, gas, whatever it is, right? Your check is already gone. Well, this man is telling us, keep a part of everything that you earn, right? He's saying the day I decided to keep a part of all I earned, it was mine to keep. That's the day life changed, right? Because if you have something, you can invest it into other things. Rachel, welcome. Where you coming in from right now? Then he continued and looked at me with a glance that I could feel pierce me, but said no more. Is that all? I asked. That was sufficient to change the heart of the sheep herder into the heart of all money lenders, he replied. So that, if you just follow that right there, keeping a small piece of all of your checks, that right there is enough to change your life, because when you get old, you will have something to pass forward. Saragata, Wyoming. How is that? I've never been there. But all I earn is mine to keep, is it not? I demanded. Oh, Arcade. He's thinking, I want to spend my check, right? I work hard for this. Far from it, he replied. Do you not pay the garment maker? Do you not pay the sandal maker? Do you not pay for all the things you eat? Can you live in Babylon without spending? What have you to show for all your earnings in the past month? What for the past year? Fool, you pay to everyone but yourself. Dullard, your labor for others. As well be a slave and work for what your master gives you and to eat and wear. If you did not keep for yourself 1/10 of all you earn, how much would you have in 10 years? Or if you did keep, right? So he's hitting on a couple different things here. That's a lot to digest, right? So we can relate this to living in the United States right now, right? Because being in a consumer-based society, everybody is out spending their money on something, right? You need the fanciest boots, the fanciest shoes, right? You want to pay $300 for those Jordans, or $400 for that Burberry shirt, or you want to spend $30,000-$40,000 on that BMW. Yvonne, welcome, right? We living in that consumer society, and he's telling us like, stop. You don't need to have the fanciest things, right? You don't need those things. Those are all desires, and if you can't afford it, don't buy them, right? And he asks him to look back at his wages. Like, look, if you were to keep 1/10 of what you made every single year for the 10 years, how much would you have? Let's say this man was making, $20,000 a year, right? And he kept 1/10 of that. That's $2,000 every year for 10 years. That's freaking about what, $20,000 that he would have had saved up if he didn't invest it. Like, he would still have $20,000 in his bank account to do something with if an opportunity presented itself Rachel, it's in the mountains and it's cold and deer's in the neighborhood. Hot springs, 30 minutes from work. Ooh, that sounds like a very beautiful place. I'm jealous. Yvonne, welcome. Um, my knowledge of the numbers did not forsake me, and I answered, as much as I earn in 1 year, you speak but half the truth, he retorted. Every gold piece you save is a slave to work for you. Ooh, we'll get more deep into that because that's a huge key here. Every copper it earns is its child, and it can also earn for you. If you would become wealthy, then what you save must earn, and its children must earn, and all may help to give you an abundance you crave. You think I cheat you from your long night's work, he continued, but I am paying you 1,000 times if you have the intelligence to grasp the truth I offer you. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. It should be no less than a tenth, no matter how little you earn. It can be as much as more than you can afford. Pay yourself first. I think I'm gonna leave it off here because that's a lot to digest right now. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Just if that's all you did, if you just kept just 10%, if you're making more money than you can spend, right, or more money than like you actually need, and there's people out there, right, you make $100,000, but the only reason you're probably broke right now is because you're spending $130,000 a year. So even though you're making good money, you're really still under. And he's saying here, you be the kind of person that doesn't spend all your income and lives within your means. So let's think about that for a second. I think I wanna leave it at that because that's a really good message right there for those of you that are seeking that financial freedom. And like, I know for me, I'll give you guys a quick story. So when I was 18 years old, right, I'm 25 now, so 7 years ago, I got in a car accident, right? And this car accident really changed everything because I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to, continue playing sports. I was playing basketball at the time, getting ready for a championship game a couple of days before. And this car accident just like really messed me up, right? So I had to go through all these therapies and, go to see all these doctor's appointments, and all that stuff costs money, right? So after my court case and everything, and I paid everybody off, my lawyers, I paid off my doctors, my physical therapists, my chiropractors. What ended up happening was this was the first time I was given a small fortune, right? This is the first time I'd ever seen a check that had a comma in it, right? It's crazy to me because I had 5, 6, or what was it? So it was a 5-digit check, right? So they gave me a $68,000 check, and I'm just looking at it like, wow, this is a lot of money to me. I've never like had this kind of money. So, because I didn't have the knowledge, the guidance to do what this book is telling me to do, right? I didn't save, $6,000 and just put it to the side to do other things, right? I just went out and did what an 18-year-old is gonna do, right? Went out to the bars or the club. I had a couple friends that were security at some of the coolest spots in town, so it didn't matter if I was an evasion or not, I could get in. So I went in, I'd buy everybody shots, right? Go to the house parties, and people would needed a ride, so I would line up 10 cars and take them to the gas station and fill up everybody's tank just so they could go pick everybody up. And that money did not last me at all. And I look back at it now, and if I were to receive that now, my finances would be in a completely different state. But I needed to go through that because I learned a very valuable lesson there, that if I don't save and I don't keep anything, money's not just going to keep flowing in, right? Because I just decided to be a consumer and spend it. It didn't create children, right? When the book says create children, it's talking about making interest. It's creating that dividend that's yielding every single month, every single 6 months, or however the investment is bringing you money back. Like that money, instead of spending it, if you reinvest it, you have the coin's children's children, right, making money for you, working for you. Like at some point, you create what is most people's dreams, right? To have the specific amount of money to pay off all your bills in 1 month. And like everybody's got a different number. I got a number, you got a number, and like my number, for example, right? If I make $4,000 every single month, I will be okay, right? I would keep the quality of life that I want to live. I would keep the cars I want to live, have the house I want to live in, and that's just what I need, right? But you might be at $2,000 a month. Someone else might need $10,000 a month, And if I can get the money that I have right now to yield me an interest of $4,000 every single month, I'm straight. So I know what I gotta yield towards. I know what I gotta work towards, and that's my story. That's where I need to go. And my hopes for you is that as I'm reading this, it opens up your eyes to why you're in the same place that you were 5 years ago, and I want to be here to help you and walk you through that. So if you want to keep up with this book and just keep going, again, I'm going to try to go through as much of it as I can, but I can't read very fast, especially Old English like this. But if you want to move ahead, you can always go to the link on my website. I put it up so you guys can pick up a copy. It'll take you straight to Amazon. It'll cost you like $10. So click on that, order it, and you can read it on your own. And maybe I'll even feature you on this live, and we can discuss it more, especially if you have questions. Because again, I've read this a few times, and every time I read it, I get something different out of it. But if you guys don't have any questions for me, okay, I got one right now. Okay, so Rachel says, where are you right now? I am in Oklahoma. It's a really nice day today. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl here with a few buddies here in a few hours. But yeah, it's a beautiful life out here, and I just want to add more value to you guys' lives. Yvonne, very, very true. You guys have any other questions for me before I log off this live? Cool. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will be posting another video going live next week, and if you want to review this, I'm going to upload it to my YouTube, and I'll give you some more information on that. But bye.